welcome to TaBNWNE's Wikipedia News Edition. We really hope you've enjoyed the first 2 episodes of our Season 1 Remastered series.
Anyways, on 13th episode of Season 2 is Harley-Davidson.
Harley-Davidson, Incorporated, HD, or simply Harley, is an American motorcycle manufacturer headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, United States.
Founded in 1903, it is one of 2 major American motorcycle manufacturers to survive the Great Depression along with its historical rival, Indian Motorcycles.
The company has survived numerous ownership arrangements, subsidiary arrangements, periods of poor economic health and product quality, and intense global competition to become one of the world's largest motorcycle manufacturers and an iconic brand widely known for its loyal following.
There are owner clubs and events worldwide, as well as a company-sponsored, brand-focused museum.
Harley-Davidson is noted for a style of customization that gave rise to the chopper motorcycle style.
The company traditionally marketed heavyweight, air-cooled cruiser motorcycles with engine displacements greater than 700 cubic capacity. But it has broadened its offerings to include more contemporary VRSC 2002 and middleweight street 2015 platforms.
Harley-Davidson manufactures its motorcycles at factories in York, Pennsylvania, Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, Tomahawk, Wisconsin, Manaus, Brazil, and Rayon, Thailand.
The company markets its products worldwide and also licenses and markets merchandise under the Harley-Davidson brand, among them apparel, home decor and ornaments, accessories, toys, scale models of its motorcycles, and video games based on its motorcycle line in the community.
In 1901, 20-year-old William Sylvester Harley drew up plans for a small engine with a displacement of 7.07 cubic inches, 116 cubic capacity, and 4-inch, 102 millimeters. Flywheels, designed for use in a regular pedal bicycle frame.
Over the next 2 years, he and his childhood friend Arthur Davidson worked on their motor bicycle using the Northside Milwaukee machine shop at the home of their friend Henry Milk.
It was finished in 1903 with the help of Arthur's brother Walter Davidson.
Upon testing their power cycle, Harley and the Davidson brothers found it unable to climb the hills around Milwaukee without pedal assistance, and they wrote off their first motor bicycle as a valuable learning experiment.
The fleet began work on a new and improved machine with an engine of 24.74 cubic inches, 405 cubic capacity, with 9.75 inches, 24.8 centimeters, flywheels weighing 28 pounds, 13 kilograms.
Its advanced loop frame pattern was similar to the 1903 Milwaukee Merkel motorcycle, designed by Joseph Merkel, later of Flying Merkel fame.
The digger engine and loop frame design took it out of the motorized bicycle category and marked the path to future motorcycle designs.
They also received help with their digger engine from outboard motor pioneer Leavenworth, who was then building gas engines of his own design for automotive use on Milwaukee's Lake Street.
The prototype of the new loop frame Harley-Davidson was assembled in a 10 feet times 15 feet, 3.0 meters times 4.6 meters, shed in the Davidson family backyard.
Most of the major parts, however, were made elsewhere, including some probably fabricated at the West Milwaukee rail ships, where oldest brother William A. Davidson was toolroom foreman.
The This prototype machine was functional by September 8, 1904, when it competed in a Milwaukee motorcycle race held at State Fair Park.
Edward Hildebrandt rode it and placed fourth in the race.
In January 1905, the company placed small advertisements in the Automobile and Cycle Trade Journal offering their Harley-Davidson engines to the do-it-yourself trade.
By April, they were producing complete motorcycles on a very limited basis.
That year, Harley-Davidson dealer Carl H. Lang of Chicago sold 3 bikes from the 5 built in the Davidson backyard shed.
Years later, the company moved the original shed to the Juneau Avenue factory, where it stood for many decades as a tribute.
In 1906, Harley and the Davidson brothers built their first factory on Chestnut Street, later Juneau Avenue, at the current location of Harley-Davidson's corporate headquarters.
The first Juneau Avenue plant was a 40 feet times 60 feet, 12 meters times 18 meters, single-story wooden structure.
The company produced about 50 motorcycles that year. In 1907, William S. Harley graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison with a degree in mechanical engineering.
That year, they expanded the factory with a second floor and later with facings and additions of Milwaukee pale yellow, cream, brick.
With the new facilities, production increased to 150 motorcycles in 1907.
The company was officially incorporated that September.
They also began selling their motorcycles to police departments around this time, a market that has been important to them ever since.
In 1907, William A. Davidson quit his job as tool foreman for the Milwaukee Road Railroad and joined the motor company.
Production in 1905 and 1906 were all single-cylinder models with 26.84 cubic inch, 440 cubic capacity engines.
In February 1907, they displayed a prototype model at the Chicago Automobile Show with a 45-degree V-twin engine.
Very few V-twin models were built between 1907 and 1910.
These first V-twins displaced 53.68 cubic inches, 880 cubic capacity, and produced about 7 horsepower, 5.2 kilowatts.
This gave about double the power of the first singles, and top speed was about 60 miles per hour, 100 kilometers per hour.
Production jumped from 450 motorcycles in 1908 to 1,149 machines in 1909.
In 1911, the company introduced an improved V-twin model with a displacement of 49.48 cubic inches, 811 cubic capacity, and mechanically operated intake valves, as opposed to the automatic intake valves used on earlier V-twins that opened by engine vacuum.
It was smaller than earlier twins but gave better performance.
After 1915, the majority of bikes produced by Harley-Davidson were V-twin models. In 1912, Harley-Davidson introduced their patented full floating seat, which was suspended by a coil spring inside the seat tube.
The spring tension could be adjusted to suit the rider's weight, and more than 3 inches, 76 millimeters, of travel was available.
Harley-Davidson used seats of this type until 1958. By 1915, the yellow brick factory had been demolished and a new 5-story structure had been built on the site, which took up 2 blocks along Juneau Avenue and around the corner on 38th Street.
Despite the competition, Harley-Davidson was already pulling ahead of Indian and dominated motorcycle racing after 1914.
Production that year swelled to 16,284 machines. In 1917, the United States entered World War I and the military demanded motorcycles for the war effort.
Harleys had already been used by the military in the Pancho Villa expedition, but World War I was the first time that it was adopted for military issue. First with a British Model H, produced by Triumph Motorcycles Limited in 1915.
The U.S. military purchased over 20,000 motorcycles from Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson launched a line of bicycles in 1917 in hopes of recruiting more domestic customers for its motorcycles.
Models included the traditional diamond frame men's bicycle, a step through frame 3 to 18, ladies standard, and a 5 to 17, Boy Scout, for youth.
The effort was discontinued in 1923 because of disappointing sales.
The bicycles were built for Harley-Davidson in Dayton, Ohio by the Davis Machine Company from 1917 to 1921, when Davis stopped manufacturing bicycles.
By 1920, Harley-Davidson was the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world, with 28,189 machines produced on dealers in 67 countries.
In 1921, Otto Walker set a record on a Harley-Davidson as the first motorcycle to win a race at an average speed greater than 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour.
Harley-Davidson put several improvements in place during the 1920s, such as a new 74 cubic inch, 1,212.6 cubic capacity V-twin introduced in 1921, and the teardrop gas tank in 1925.
They added a front brake in 1928, although only on the J/JD models.
In the late summer of 1929, Harley-Davidson introduced its 45 cubic inch, 737 cubic capacity flathead V-twin to compete with the Indian 101 Scout and the Excelsior Super X.
This was the model produced from 1929 to 1931.
Riders of Indian motorcycles derisively referred to it as the three-cylinder Harley because the generator was upright and parallel to the front cylinder.
In 1929, Vivian Gales drove a record 5,000 miles across the United States and Canada on a D model.
The Great Depression began a few months after the introduction of their 45 cubic inches, 740 cubic centimeters model.
Harley-Davidson sales fell from 21,000 in 1929 to 3,703 in 1933.
Despite this, Harley-Davidson unveiled a new lineup for 1934, which included a flathead engine and Art Deco styling. In order to survive the remainder of the Depression, the company manufactured industrial power plants based on their motorcycle engines.
They also designed and built a three-wheeled delivery vehicle called the Survey Car, which remained in production until 1973.
Alfred Richchild opened a production line in Japan in the mid-1930s with a 74 cubic inches, 1,210 cubic centimeters VL.
The Japanese license holder, Sankyo Seikyu Corporation, severed its business relations with Harley-Davidson in 1936 and continued manufacturing the VL under the Rikuo name.
An 80 cubic inches, 1,300 cubic centimeters, flathead engine was added to the line in 1935, by which time the single-cylinder motorcycles had been discontinued. In 1936, the 61E and 61EL models with the knucklehead OHV engines were introduced.
Valvetron problems in early knucklehead engines required a redesign halfway through its first year of production and retrofitting of the new Valvetron on earlier engines.
By 1937, all Harley-Davidson flathead engines were equipped with dry sump oil recirculation systems similar to the one introduced in the knucklehead OHV engine.
The revised 74 cubic inches, 1,210 cubic centimeters V&VL models were renamed U and UL. The 80 cubic inches, 1,300 cubic centimeters VH and VLH to be renamed UH and ULH, and the 45 cubic inches, 740 cubic centimeters are to be renamed W.
In 1941, the 74 cubic inch knucklehead was introduced as the F and the FL.
The 80 cubic inches, 1,300 cubic centimeters flathead UH and ULH models were discontinued after 1941, while the 74 cubic inch U and UL flathead models were produced up to 1948.
One of only two American motorcycle manufacturers to survive the Great Depression, the other being the Indian motorcycle manufacturing company, Harley-Davidson again, produced large numbers of motorcycles for the U.S. Army in World War II and resumed civilian production afterwards, producing a range of large V-twin motorcycles that were successful both on racetracks and for private buyers. Harley-Davidson, on the eve of World War II, was already supplying the Army with a military-specific version of its 45 cubic inches, 740 cubic centimeters, WL line, called the WLA.
The A in this case stood for Army.
Upon the outbreak of war, the company, along with most other manufacturing enterprises, shifted to war work.
More than 90,000 military motorcycles, mostly WLAs and WLCs, the Canadian version, were produced, many to be provided to allies.
Harley-Davidson received two Army-Navy awards, one in 1943 and the other in 1945, which were awarded for excellence in production. Shipments to the Soviet Union under the Lend-Lease program numbered at least 30,000.
The WLAs, produced during all 4 years of war production, generally have 1942 serial numbers.
Production of the WLA stopped at the end of World War II, but was resumed from 1950 to 1952 for use in the Korean War. The U.S. Army also asked Harley-Davidson to produce a new motorcycle with many of the features of BMW's side valve and shaft, driven R71.
Harley-Davidson largely copied the BMW engine and drivetrain and produced the shaft-driven 750 cubic capacity 1942 Harley-Davidson XA.
They shared no dimensions, no parts or no design concepts, except side valves, with any prior Harley-Davidson engine.
Due to the superior cooling of the flat twin engine, with the cylinders across the frame, Harley's XA cylinder heads ran 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 56 degrees Celsius, cooler than its V-twins.
The XA never entered full production. The motorcycle, by that time, had been eclipsed by the Jeep as the Army's general-purpose vehicle, and the WLA, already in production, was sufficient for its limited police, escort, and courier roles.
Only 1,000 were made and the XA never went into full production.
It remains the only shaft-driven Harley-Davidson ever made. As part of war reparations, Harley-Davidson acquired the design of a small German motorcycle, the TaBNWNE, which they adapted, manufactured, and sold from 1948 to 1966.
Various models were made, including the Hummer, from 1955 to 1959, but they are all colloquially referred to as Hummers at present.
VSA in the United Kingdom took the same design as the foundation of their VSA Phantom. In 1960, Harley-Davidson consolidated the Model 165 and Hummer lines into the Super 10, introduced the Topper scooter, and bought 50% of Airmaki's motorcycle division.
Importation of Airmaki's 250 cubic capacity horizontal single began the following year.
The light bore Harley-Davidson badges and was marketed as the Harley-Davidson Sprint.
The engine of the Sprint was increased to 350 cubic capacity in 1969 and would remain that size until 1974, when the four-stroke Sprint was discontinued.
After the Pacer and Scat models were discontinued at the end of 1965, the Bobcat became the last of Harley-Davidson's American-made two-stroke motorcycles.
The Bobcat was manufactured only in the 1966 model year.
Harley-Davidson replaced their American-made lightweight two-stroke motorcycles with the Italian Airmaki-built two-stroke powered M65, M65S, and Rapido.
The M65 had a semi-step through frame and tank.
The M65S was an M65 with a larger tank that eliminated the step-through feature.
The Rapido was a larger bike with a 125 cubic capacity engine.
The Airmaki-built Harley-Davidsons became entirely two-stroke, powered when the 250 cubic capacity two-stroke SS-250 replaced the four-stroke 350 cubic capacity Sprint in 1974. Harley-Davidson purchased full control of Airmaki's motorcycle production in 1974 and continued making two-stroke motorcycles there until 1978, when they sold the facility to Cagiva, owned by the TaBNWNE family. In 1952, following their application to the U.S. Tariff Commission for a 40% tax on imported motorcycles, Harley-Davidson was charged with restrictive practices. In 1969, American Machine and Foundry, AMF, bought the company, streamlined production, and slashed the workforce.
This tactic resulted in a labor strike and cost cutting, produced lower quality bikes.
Simultaneously, the Japanese Big Four manufacturers Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, and Yamaha revolutionized the North American market by introducing what the motoring press would call the Universal Japanese Motorcycle.
In comparison, Harley-Davidson's bikes were expensive and inferior in performance, handling, and quality.
Sales and quality declined, and the company almost went bankrupt.
The Harley-Davidson name was mocked as Harley-Blesson, Hardly Drivable, and Harley-Ferguson, and the nickname Hog became pejorative.
In 1977, following the successful manufacture of a Liberty Edition to commemorate America's bicentennial in 1976, Harley-Davidson produced what has become one of its most controversial models, the Harley-Davidson Confederate Edition.
The bike was essentially a stock Harley-Davidson with Confederate-specific paint and details.
In 1981, AMF sold the company to a group of 13 investors led by Von Beals and Willie Godfrey Davidson for $80 million.
The new management team improved product quality, introduced new technologies, and adopted just-in-time inventory management.
The company's operational and product improvements were matched with a strategy of seeking tariff protection for large displacement motorcycles in the face of intense competition with Japanese manufacturers.
These protections were granted by the Reagan administration in 1983, giving Harley-Davidson time to implement their new strategies.
Revising stagnated product designs was a crucial centerpiece of Harley-Davidson's turnaround strategy.
Rather than trying to mimic popular Japanese designs, the new management deliberately exploited the retro appeal of Harley motorcycles, building machines that deliberately adopted the look and feel of their earlier bikes and the subsequent customizations of owners of that era.
Many components such as brakes, forks, shocks, carburetors, electrics and wheels were outsourced from foreign manufacturers and quality increased. Technical improvements were made and buyers slowly returned. Harley-Davidson bought the subshock, cantilever swing and rear suspension design from Missouri engineer Bill Davis and developed it into its Softail series of motorcycles, introduced in 1984 with the FXST Softail. In response to possible motorcycle market loss due to the aging of baby boomers, Harley-Davidson bought luxury motorhome manufacturer Holiday Rambler in 1986.
In 1996, the company sold Holiday Rambler to the Monaco Coach Corporation.
The Sturgis model, boasting a dual belt drive, was introduced initially in 1980 and was made for 3 years.
This bike was then brought back as a commemorative model in 1991.
By 1990, with the introduction of the Fat Boy, Harley-Davidson once again became the sales leader in the heavyweight, over 750 cubic capacity market.
At the time of the Fat Boy model introduction, a false etymology spread that Fat Boy was a combination of the names of the atomic bombs Fat Man and Little Boy.
This has been debunked, as the name Fat Boy actually comes from the observation that the motorcycle is somewhat wider than other bikes when viewed head-on. 1993 and 1994 saw the replacement of FXR models with a Dyna FXT, which became the sole rubber mount FX stick twin frame in 1994.
The FXR was revived briefly from 1999 to 2000 for special limited editions FXR2, FXR3, and FXR4.
Harley-Davidson celebrated their 100th anniversary on September 1, 2003 with a large event and concert featuring performances from Elton John, the Doobie Brothers, Kid Rock, and Tim McGraw. Construction started on the $75 million, 130,000 square foot, 12,000 square meters Harley-Davidson Museum in the Menominee Valley of Milwaukee, Wisconsin on June 1, 2006.
It opened in 2008 and houses the company's vast collection of historic motorcycles and corporate archives, along with a restaurant, cafe, and meeting space.
Established in 1918, the oldest continuously operating Harley-Davidson dealership outside of the United States is in Australia.
Sales in Japan started in 1912, then in 1929, Harley-Davidsons were produced in Japan under license to the company Rikuo Internal Combustion Company. Under the name of Harley-Davidson and using the company's tooling, and later under the name Rikuo.
Production continued until 1958. In 1998, the first Harley-Davidson factory outside the U.S. opened in Manaus, Brazil, taking advantage of the free economic zone there.
Whoa!
The location was positioned to sell motorcycles in the Southern Hemisphere market.
In August 2009, Harley-Davidson launched Harley-Davidson India and started selling motorcycles there in 2010.
The The company established a subsidiary in Birgayan, near Delhi, in 2011 and created an Indian dealer network.
On September 24, 2020, Harley-Davidson announced that it would discontinue its sales and manufacturing operations in India due to weak demand and sales.
The move involved $75 million in restructuring costs, 70 layoffs, and the closure of its small plant in northern India.
Harley-Davidson's association with sport bike manufacturer Buell Motorcycle Company began in 1987 when they supplied Buell with 50 surplus XR1000 engines.
Whoa!
Buell continued to buy engines from Harley-Davidson until 1993, when Harley-Davidson bought 49% of the Buell Motorcycle Company.
Harley-Davidson increased its share in Buell to 98% in 1998 and to complete ownership in 2003. In an attempt to attract newcomers to motorcycling in general and to Harley-Davidson in particular, Buell developed a low-cost, low-maintenance motorcycle.
The resulting single-cylinder Buell Blast was introduced in 2000 and was made through 2009, which, according to Buell, was to be the final year of production.
The Buell Blast was the training vehicle for the Harley-Davidson Rider's Edge New Rider course from 2000 until May 2014, when the company rebranded the Training Academy and started using the Harley-Davidson Street 500 motorcycles.
In those 14 years, more than 350,000 participants in the course learned to ride on the Buell Blast.
On October 15, 2009, Harley-Davidson Incorporated issued an official statement that it would be discontinuing the Buell line and ceasing production immediately in order to focus on the Harley-Davidson brand.
The company refused to consider selling Buell.
Founder Eric Buell subsequently established Eric Buell Racing and continued to manufacture and develop the company's 1125RR racing motorcycle. During its period of peak demand, during the late 1990s and early first decade of the 21st century, Harley-Davidson embarked on a program of expanding the number of dealerships throughout the country.
At the same time, its current dealers typically had waiting lists that extended up to a year for some of the most popular models.
Harley-Davidson, like the auto manufacturers, records a sale not when a consumer buys their product, but rather when it is delivered to a dealer.
Therefore, it is possible for the manufacturer to inflate sales numbers by requiring dealers to accept more inventory than desired in a practice called channel stuffing.
When demand softened following the unique 2003 model year, this news led to a dramatic decline in the stock price.
In April 2004 alone, the price of HOG shares dropped from more than $60 to less than $40.
Immediately prior to this decline, retiring CEO Jeffrey Bluestein profited $42 million on the exercise of employee stock options.
Harley-Davidson was named as a defendant in numerous class action suits filed by investors who claimed they were intentionally defrauded by Harley-Davidson's management and directors.
By January 2007, the price of Harley-Davidson shares reached $70. Starting around 2000, several police departmts started reporting problems with high-speed instability on the Harley-Davidson touring motorcycles.
A Raleigh, North Carolina police officer, Charles Paul, was killed when his 2002 police touring motorcycle crashed after reportedly experiencing a high-speed wobble.
The California Highway Patrol conducted testing of the police touring motorcycles in 2006.
The CHP test riders reported experiencing wobble or wing instability while operating the motorcycles on the test track.
On February 2, 2007, upon the expiration of their union contract, about 2,700 employees at Harley-Davidson, Incorporated's largest manufacturing plant in York, Pennsylvania, went on strike after failing to agree on wages and health benefits.
During the pendency of the strike, the company refused to pay for any portion of the striking employees' health care.
The day before the strike, after the union voted against the proposed contract and to authorize the strike, the company shut down all production at the plant.
The York facility employs more than 3,200 workers, both union and non-union.
Harley-Davidson announced on February 16, 2007, that it had reached a labor agreement with union workers at its largest manufacturing plant, a breakthrough in the 2-week-old strike.
The strike disrupted Harley-Davidson's national production in what felt in Wisconsin, where 440 employees were laid off, and many Harley suppliers also laid off workers because of the strike.
On July 11, 2008, Harley-Davidson announced they had signed the definitive agreement to acquire the MV Agusta Group for US $109 million, 70 million euros.
MV Agusta Group contains 2 lines of motorcycles, the high-performance MV Agusta brand and the lightweight Kajiva brand.
The acquisition was completed on August 8. On October 15, 2009, Harley-Davidson announced that it would divest its interest in MV Agusta.
Harley-Davidson Incorporated sold Italian motorcycle maker MV Agusta to Claudio Castiglione, a member of the family that had purchased Ermacchi from HD in 1978. For a reported €3, ending the transaction in the first week of August 2010.
Castiglione was MV Agusta's former owner and had been MV Agusta's chairman since Harley-Davidson bought it in 2008.
As part of the deal, Harley-Davidson put $26 million into MV Agusta's accounts, essentially giving Castiglione $26 million to take the brand.
The 2007 to 2008 financial crisis and 2008 to 2010 automotive industry crisis affected also the motorcycle industry.
According to Interbrand, the value of the Harley-Davidson brand fell by 43% to $4.34 billion in 2009.
The fall in value is believed to be connected to the 66% drop in the company profits in 2 quarters of the previous year.
On April 29, 2010, Harley-Davidson stated that they must cut $54 million in manufacturing costs from its production facilities in Wisconsin, and that they would explore alternative U.S. sites to accomplish this.
The announcement came in the wake of a massive company-wide restructuring, which began in early 2009 and involved the closing of 2 factories, 1 distribution center, and the planned elimination of nearly 25% of its total workforce, around 3,500 employees.
The company announced on September 14, 2010, that it would remain in Wisconsin.
The classic Harley-Davidson engines are V-twin engines with a 45-degree angle between the cylinders.
The crankshaft has a single pin and both pistons are connected to this pin through their connecting rods.
This 45-degree angle is covered under several United States patents and is an engineering trade-off that allows a large, high-torque engine in a relatively small space.
If It causes the cylinders to fire at uneven intervals and produces the choppy, potato sound so strongly linked to the Harley-Davidson brand.
To simplify the engine and reduce costs, the V-twin ignition was designed to operate with a single set of points and no distributor.
This is known as a dual-fire ignition system, causing both spark plugs to fire regardless of which cylinder was on its compression stroke, with the other spark plug firing on its cylinder's exhaust stroke, effectively wasting a spark.
The exhaust note is basically a throaty growling sound with some popping.
The 45-degree design of the engine thus creates a plug firing sequencing as such. The first cylinder fires, the second rear cylinder fires 315 degree later, then there is a 405 degree gap until the first cylinder fires again, giving the engine its unique sound.
Harley-Davidson has used various ignition systems, including the early points and condenser system on big twins and Sportsters up to 1978, a magneto-ignition system used on some 1958 to 1969 Sportsters, an early electronic with centrifugal mechanical advance weights on all models from mid-1978 until 1979, and a later electronic with a transistorized ignition control module, more familiarly known as a black box or a brain, on all models 1980 to present. Starting in 1995, the company introduced electronic fuel injection, EFI, as an option for the 30th anniversary edition Electra Glide.
EFI became standard on all Harley-Davidson motorcycles, including Sportsters, upon the introduction of the 2007 product line.
In 1991, Harley-Davidson began to participate in the Sound Quality Working Group, founded by Orfield Labs, Roland Pierre, TEAC, Yamaha, Sennheiser, SNS and Cortex.
This was the nation's first group to share research on psychological acoustics.
Later that year, Harley-Davidson participated in a series of sound quality studies at Orfield Labs, based on recordings taken at the Talladega Superspeedway, with the objective to lower the sound level for EU standards while analytically capturing the Harley sound.
This research resulted in the bikes that were introduced in compliance with EU standards for 1998.
On February 1, 1994, the company filed a sound trademark application for the distinctive sound of the Harley-Davidson motorcycle engine. The mark consists of the exhaust sound of applicants' motorcycles, produced by V-twin, common crank-in motorcycle engines when the goods are in use.
9 of Harley-Davidson's competitors filed comments opposing the application, arguing that cruiser-style motorcycles of various brands use a single cranked-in V-twin engine, which produce a similar sound.
These objections were followed by litigation.
In June 2000, the company dropped efforts to register a sound trademark.
Big V-twins are F-head, also known as JD, pocket valve and IOE, intake over exhaust, 1914 to 1929, 1,000 cubic capacity, and 1922 to 1929, 1,200 cubic capacity.
Flathead, 1930 to 1949, 1,200 cubic capacity, and 1935 to 1941, 1,300 cubic capacity.
Knucklehead, 1936 to 1947, 61 cubic inch, 1,000 cubic capacity, and 1941 to 1947, 74 cubic inch, 1,200 cubic capacity.
Panhead, 1948 to 1965, 61 cubic inch, 1,000 cubic capacity. And 1948 to 1965, 74 cubic inch, 1,200 cubic capacity.
Shovelhead, 1966 to 1984, 74 cubic inch, 1,200 cubic capacity, an 80 cubic inch, 1,338 cubic capacity, since late 1978.
Evolution, aka Evo, and Blockhead, 1984 to 1999, 80 cubic inch, 1,340 cubic capacity.
Twin Cam, aka Fathead, as named by American Iron Magazine, 1999 to 2017, in the following versions. Twin Cam 88, 1999 to 2006, 88 cubic inch, 1,450 cubic capacity.
Twin Cam 88B, counterbalanced version of the Twin Cam 88, 2000 to 2006, 88 cubic inch, 1,450 cubic capacity.
Twin Cam 95, since 2000, 95 cubic inch, 1,550 cubic capacity, engines for early CVO models.
Twin Cam 96, since 2007.
Twin Cam 103, 2003 to 2006, 2009, 103 cubic inch, 1,690 cubic capacity, engines for CVO models. Standard on 2011 Touring models, Ultra Limited, Road King Classic and Road Glide Ultra and optional on the Road Glide Custom and Street Glide.
Standard on most 2012 models excluding Sportsters and 2 Dynas, Street Bob and Super Glide Custom.
Standard on all 2014 Dyna models.
And Twin Cam 110, 2007 to 2017, 110 cubic inch, 1,800 cubic capacity, engines for CVO models. 2016 Softail Slid S, Fat Boy S, Lowrider S, and Pro Street Breakout. And Milwaukee 8.
Standard 107 cubic inches, 1,746 cubic capacity, standard on Touring model year 2017 plus and Softail models 2018 plus.
Twin cooled 107 cubic inches, 1,746 cubic capacity, optional on some Touring and Trike model year 2017 plus.
Twin cooled 114 cubic inches, 1,868 cubic capacity, optional on Touring and Trike model year 2017 plus, standard on 2017 CVO models.
And twin cooled 117 cubic inches, 1,923 cubic capacity, standard on 2018 CVO models.
Small V twins are D model 1929 to 1931, 750 cubic capacity.
R model 1932 to 1936, 750 cubic capacity.
Flathead 750 cubic capacity. 1937 to 1952 W model solo 2-wheel.
And 1932 to 1973 G model Survey car 3-wheeler. K model 1952 to 1953, 750 cubic capacity.
KH model 1954 to 1956, 900 cubic capacity.
Ironhead 1957 to 1971, 883 cubic capacity. 1972 to 1985, 1,000 cubic capacity.
An Evolution since 1986, 883 cubic capacity, 1,100 cubic capacity and 1,200 cubic capacity. The Revolution engine is based on the VR1000 Superbike race program, developed by Harley-Davidson's powertrain engineering, with Porsche helping to make the engine suitable for street use.
It is a liquid-cooled, dual-overhead cam, internally counterbalanced 60-degree V-twin engine with a displacement of 69 cubic inch, 1,130 cubic capacity. producing 115 horsepower, 86 kilowatts, at 8,250 RPM at the crank, with a red line of 9,000 RPM.
It was introduced for the new VRSC V-Rod line in 2001 for the 2002 model year, starting with a single VRSC-A V-Twin Racing Street Custom model.
The Revolution marks Harley's first collaboration with Porsche since the V4 Nova project, which, like the V-Rod, was a radical departure from Harley's traditional lineup until it was cancelled by AMF in 1981 in favor of the Evolution engine.
A 1,250 cubic capacity Screaming Eagle version of the Revolution engine was made available for 2005 and 2006 and was present thereafter in a single production model from 2005 to 2007.
In 2008, the 1,250 cubic capacity Revolution engine became standard for the entire VRSC line.
Harley-Davidson claims 123 horsepower, 92 kilowatts at the crank for the 2008 VRSC-AW model.
The VRXSE Destroyer drag light is equipped with a Stroker 75mm crank, Screaming Eagle 79 cubic inch, 1,300 cubic capacity. The Revolution engine, producing 97 pound-feet, 132 Newton-meters, and more than 165 horsepower, 123 kilowatts.
750 cubic capacity and 500 cubic capacity versions of the Revolution engine are used in Harley-Davidson street line of light cruisers.
These motors, named the Revolution X, use a single overhead cam, screw and lock nut valve adjustment, a single internal counterbalancer, and vertically split crankcases. All of these changes making it different from the original Revolution design.
An extreme endurance test of the Revolution engine was performed in a dynamometer installation at the Harley-Davidson factory in Milwaukee, simulating the German Autobahn highways without general speed limit. Between the Porsche Research and Development Center in Weissach, near Stuttgart to Dusseldorf.
An undisclosed number of samples of engines failed until an engine successfully passed the 500-hour non-stop run.
This was the benchmark for the engineers to approve the start of production for the Revolution engine, which was documented in the Discovery Channel special Harley-Davidson, Birth of the V-Rod, October 14, 2001. The first Harley-Davidson motorcycles were powered by single-cylinder IOE engines, with the inlet valve operated by engine vacuum, based on the TaBNWNE pattern.
Signals of this type continued to be made until 1913, when a pusher and rocker system was used to operate the overhead inlet valve on the signal. A similar system having been used on their V-Twin since 1911.
Single-cylinder motorcycle engines were discontinued in 1918. Single-cylinder engines were reintroduced in 1925 as 1926 models.
These signals were available either as flathead engines or as overhead valve engines until 1930, after which they were only available as flatheads.
The flathead single-cylinder motorcycles were designated Model A for engines with magneto systems only and Model B for engines with battery and coil systems. While overhead valve versions were designated Model AA and Model DA respectively, and a magneto-only racing version was designated Model S.
This line of single-cylinder motorcycles ended production in 1934.
Modern Harley-branded motorcycles fall into one of 7 model families: Touring, Softail, Dyna, Sportster, Rod, Street and Live Wire.
These model families are distinguished by the frame, engine, suspension, and other characteristics.
Touring models use big twin engines and large diameter telescopic forks.
All Touring designations begin with the letters FL, for example, FLHR, Road King, and FLTR, Road Glide.
The Touring family, also known as dressers or baggers, includes Road King, Road Glide, Electra Glide, and Street Glide models offered in various trims.
The Road Kings have a retro cruiser appearance and are equipped with a large clear windshield.
Road Kings are reminiscent of big twin models from the 1940s and 1950s.
Whoa!
Electra Glides can be identified by their full front fairings.
Most Electra Glides sport a fork-mounted fairing referred to as the Batwing due to its unmistakable shape.
The Road Glide and Road Glide Ultra Classic have a frame-mounted fairing referred to as the Shark Nose.
The Shark Nose includes a unique dual front headlight. Touring models are distinguishable by their large saddlebags, rear coil-over-air suspension, and are the only models to offer full fairings with radios and CDs.
All Touring models use the same frame, first introduced with a shovel head motor in 1980 and carried forward with only modest upgrades until 2009, when it was extensively redesigned.
The frame is distinguished by the location of the steering head in front of the forks and was the first HD frame to rubber-mounted drivetrain to isolate the rider from the vibration of the big V-twin. The frame was modified for the 1993 model year when the oil tank went under the transmission and the battery was moved inboard from under the right saddlebag to under the seat.
Whoa!
In 1997, the frame was again modified to allow for a larger battery under the seat and to lower seat height.
In 2007, Harley-Davidson introduced the 96 cubic inches, 1,570 cubic centimeters, twin-cam 96 engine, as well as 6-speed transmission to give the rider better speeds on the highway. In 2006, Harley introduced the FLHX Street Glide, a bike designed by Willie G. Davidson to be his personal ride to its touring line. In 2008, Harley added anti-lock braking systems and cruise control as a factory-installed option on all touring models, standard on CVO and anniversary models.
Also new for 2008 is the 6 US gallon, 23 liters, 5.0 imperial gallons fuel tank for all touring models.
2008 also brought throttle by wire to all touring models. For the 2009 model year, Harley-Davidson redesigned the entire touring range with several changes, including a new frame, new swing arm, a completely revised engine mounting system, 17-inch, 430mm front wheels for all but the FLHRC Road King Classic, and a 2-to-1-to-2 exhaust.
The changes result in greater load carrying capacity, better handling, a smoother engine, longer range and less exhaust heat transmitted to the rider and passenger.
Also released for the 2009 model year is the FLHTC Tri-Glide Ultra Classic, the first three-wheeled Harley since the Survey car was discontinued in 1973.
The model features a unique frame and a 103 cubic inch, 1,690 cubic capacity engine exclusive to the trike.
In 2014, Harley-Davidson released a redesign for specific touring bikes and called it Project Rushmore.
Changes include a new 103 CI high-output engine, one-handed easy open saddlebags and compartments, a new boom Boombox infotainment system with either 4.3-inch 10 centimeters or 6.5-inch 16.5 centimeters screens featuring touchscreen functionality. 6.5-inch 16.5 centimeters models only, Bluetooth, medium phone with approved compatible devices, available GPS and Sirius XM, text-to-speech functionality with approved compatible devices, and USB connectivity with charging.
Other features include ABS with reflex-linked brakes, improved styling, halogen or LED lighting and upgraded passenger comfort. These big twin motorcycles capitalize on Harley's strong value on tradition.
With a rear-wheel suspension hidden under the transmission, they are visually similar to the hardtail choppers popular in the 1960s and 1970s, as well as from their own earlier history.
In keeping with that tradition, Harley offers softail models with heritage styling that incorporate design cues from throughout their history and choose to offer Springer front ends on these softail models from the factory. Softail models utilize the big twin engine F and the softail chassis ST. Softail models that use 21-inch, 530mm front wheels have designations that begin with FX, for example, FX STD, Night Train, FX STD, Deuce, and FX STS, Springer.
Softail models that use 16-inch, 410mm front wheels have designations beginning with FL, for example, FLSTF, Fat Boy, FLSTC, Heritage Softail Classic, FLSTN, Softail Deluxe, and FLS, Softail Slim.
Softail models that use Springer forks with a 21-inch, 530mm will have designations that begin with FXSTS, for example, FXSTS, Springer Softail, and FXSTSB, Bad Boy.
And softail models that use Springer forks with a 16-inch, 410mm will have designations that begin with FLSTS. For example, FLSTSC, Springer Classic, and FLSTSB, Crossbones.
Dyna-frame motorcycles were developed in the 1980s and early 1990s and debuted in the 1991 model year, with the FXDD Sturgis offered in limited edition quantities.
In 1992, the line continued with a limited edition FXDD Daytona and a production model FXD Super Glide.
The new Dyna-frame featured big twin engines and traditional styling.
They can be distinguished from the softail by the traditional coil-over suspension that connects the swing arm to the frame, and from the Sportster by their larger engines.
On these models, the transmission also houses the engine's oil reservoir. Prior to 2006, Dyna models typically featured a narrow, XL-style 39mm front fork and front wheel, as well as foot pegs which the manufacturer indicated with a letter X in the model designation.
This lineup traditionally included the Super Glide, FXD, Super Glide Custom, FXDC, Street Bob, FXDB, and Lowrider, FXDL.
One exception was the White Glide FXDWG, which featured thicker 41mm forks and a narrow front wheel, but positioned the forks on wider triple trees that give a beefier appearance.
In 2008, the Dyna Fat Bob FXDF was introduced to the Dyna lineup, featuring aggressive styling like a new 2-to-1-to-2 exhaust, twin headlamps, a 180mm rear tire, and, for the first time in the Dyna lineup, a 130mm front tire.
For the 2012 model year, the Dyna Switchback FLD became the first Dyna to break the tradition of having an FX model designation with floorboards, detachable painted hard saddlebags, touring windshield, headlight nacelle and a wide front tire with full fender.
The new front end resembled the big twin FL models from 1968 to 1971.
The Dyna family used the 88 cubic inch, 1,440 cubic capacity twin cam from 1999 to 2006.
In 2007, the displacement was increased to 96 cubic inches, 1,570 cubic capacity as the factory increased the stroke to 4.375 inches, 111.1 millimeters.
For the 2012 model year, the manufacturer began to offer Dyna models with a 103 cubic inch, 1,690 cubic capacity upgrade.
All Dyna models use a rubber-mounted engine to isolate engine vibration.
Harley discontinued the Dyna platform in 2017 for the 2018 model year, having been replaced by a completely redesigned Softail chassis. Some of the existing models previously released by the company under the Dyna nameplate have since been carried over to the new Softail line. Dyna models utilize the big twin engine F, foot pegs noted as X, with the exception of the 2012 FLD Switchback, the Dyna model which used floorboards as featured on the Touring L models, and the Dyna chassis D.
Therefore, except for the FLD, from 2012 to 2016, all Dyna models have designations that begin with FXD, for example. FXDWG, Dyna Wide Glide, and FXDL, Dyna Lowrider.
Introduced in 1957, the Sportster family were conceived as racing motorcycles and were popular on dirt and flat track race courses through the 1960s and 1970s.
Smaller and lighter than the other Harley models, contemporary Sportsters make use of 883 cubic capacity or 1,200 cubic capacity Evolution engines and, though often modified, remain similar in appearance to their racing ancestors.
Up until the 2003 model year, the engine on the Sportster was rigidly mounted to the frame.
The 2004 Sportster received a new frame accommodating a rubber-mounted engine.
This made the bike heavier and reduced the available lean angle, while it reduced the amount of vibration transmitted to the frame and the rider, providing a smoother ride for rider and passenger. In the 2007 model year, Harley-Davidson celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Sportster and produced a limited edition, called the XL50, of which only 2,000 were made for sale worldwide.
Each motorcycle was individually numbered and came in one of two colors, Mirage Pearl Orange or Vivid Black.
Also in 2007, electronic fuel injection was introduced to the Sportster family, and the Nightster model was introduced in mid-year.
In 2009, Harley-Davidson added the Iron 883 to the Sportster line as part of the Dark Custom series.
In the 2008 model year, Harley-Davidson released the XR1200 Sportster in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East.
The XR1200 had an Evolution engine tuned to produce 91 brake horsepower, 68 kilowatts, 4-piston dual front disc brakes, and an aluminum swing arm.
Motorcyclist featured the XR1200 on the cover of its July 2008 issue and was generally positive about it in their first ride story, in which Harley-Davidson was repeatedly asked to sell it in the United States.
One possible reason for the delayed availability in the United States was that Harley-Davidson had to obtain the XR1200 naming rights from Stork's Performance, a Harley customizing shop in Ventura, California.
The XR1200 was released in the United States in 2009 in a special color scheme including Mirage Orange, highlighting its dirt tracker heritage.
The first 750 XR1200 models in 2009 were pre-ordered and came with a number 1 tag for the front of the bike. Autographed by Kenny Coolbeth and Scott Parker, and a thank you/welcome letter from the company, signed by Bill Davidson.
The XR1200 was discontinued in model year 2015. In 2021, Harley-Davidson launched the Sportster S model with a 121 horsepower engine and 228 kilograms ready-to-ride weight.
The Sportster S was one of the first Harleys to come with cornering ABS and lean-sensitive traction control.
The Sportster S is also the first model under the Sportster nameplate since 1957 to receive a completely new engine. Except for the street-going XR1000 of the 1980s and the XR1200, most Sportsters made for street use have the prefix XL in their model designation.
For the Sportster Evolution engines used since the mid-1980s, there have been 2 engine sizes.
Motorcycles with a smaller engine are designated XL883, while those with a larger engine were initially designated XL1100.
When the size of the larger engine was increased from 1,100 cubic capacity to 1,200 cubic capacity, the designation was changed accordingly from XL1100 to XL1200.
Subsequent letters in the designation refer to model variations within the Sportster range. For example, the XL883C refers to an 883 cubic capacity Sportster Custom, while the XL1200S designates the now discontinued 1200 Sportster Sport. Introduced in 2001 and produced until 2017, the VRSC muscle bike family bears little resemblance to Harley's more traditional lineup.
Competing against Japanese and American muscle bikes in the upcoming muscle bike/power cruiser segment, the V-Rod makes use of the Revolution engine that, for the first time in Harley history, incorporates overhead cams and liquid cooling.
The V-Rod is visually distinctive, easily identified by the 60-degree V-twin engine, the radiator and the hydrofirm frame members that support the round, top air cleaner cover.
The VRSC platform was also used for factory drag racing motorcycles.
In 2008, Harley added the anti-lock braking system as a factory-installed option on all VRSC models.
Harley also increased the displacement of the stock engine from 1,130 to 1,250 cubic capacity, 69 to 76 cubic inches, which had only previously been available from Screamin' Eagle, and added a slipper clutch as standard equipment.
VRSC models include VRSC-A, V-Rod, 2002 to 2006, VRSC-AW, V-Rod, 2007 to 2010, VRSC-B, V-Rod, 2004 to 2005. VRSC-D, Night Rod, 2006 to 2008, VRSC-DX, Night Rod Special, 2007 to 2014, VRSC-SE, Screamin' Eagle CVO V-Rod, 2005. VRSC-SE2, Screamin' Eagle CVO V-Rod, 2006, VRSC-R, Street Rod, 2006 to 2007. VRSC-X, Screamin' Eagle Tribute V-Rod, 2007, VRSC-F, V-Rod Muscle, 2009 to 2014. VRSC models utilize the Revolution engine, VR, and the street versions are designated Street Custom, SC.
Whoa!
After the VRSC prefix common to all street revolution bikes, the next letter denotes the model, either A, this VROD, discontinued, AW, this VROD plus W, for wide with a 240mm rear tire, V, discontinued, D, night rod, discontinued, R, street rod, discontinued. SE and SE2, CVO Special Edition, or X Special Edition.
Further differentiation within models are made with an additional letter. For example, VRSCVX denotes the Night Rod Special. The VRXSE V-Rod Destroyer is Harley-Davidson's production drag racing motorcycle, constructed to run the quarter mile in less than 10 seconds.
It is based on the same Revolution engine that powers the VRSC line, but the VRXSE uses the Screamin' Eagle 1300 cubic capacity. Stroked incarnation, featuring a 75mm crankshaft, 105mm pistons, and 58mm throttle bodies.
The V-Rod Destroyer is not a street legal motorcycle.
As such, it uses X instead of SC to denote a non-street bike.
SE denotes the CVO Special Edition. The Street, Harley-Davidson's newest platform and their first all-new platform in 13 years, was designed to appeal to younger riders looking for a lighter bike at a cheaper price.
The Street 750 model was launched in India at the 2014 Indian Auto Expo, Delhi NCR, on February 5, 2014.
The Street 750 weighs 218 kilograms and has a ground clearance of 144mm, giving it the lowest weight and the highest ground clearance of Harley-Davidson motorcycles currently available. The Street 750 uses an all-new, liquid-cooled, 60-degree V-twin engine called the Revolution X.
In the Street 750, the engine displaces 749 cubic capacity, 45.7 cubic inches, and produces 65 Nm at 4,000 RPM.
A 6-speed transmission is used. The Street 750 and the smaller displacement Street 500 have been available since late 2014.
Street Series motorcycles for the North American market will be built in Harley-Davidson's Kansas City, Missouri plant, while those for other markets around the world will be built completely in their plant in Ball, India.
Harley-Davidson's Livewire, released in 2019, is their first electric vehicle.
The high-voltage battery provides a minimum city range of 98 miles, 158 kilometers.
The Livewire targets a different type of customer than their classic V-twin powered motorcycles. In March 2020, a Harley-Davidson Livewire was used to break the 24-hour distance record for an electric motorcycle.
The bike traveled a reported 1,723 kilometers, 1,079 miles, in 23 hours and 48 minutes.
The Livewire offers a level 1 slow recharge, which uses a regular wall outlet to refill an empty battery overnight, or a quick level 3 DC fast charge.
The fast charge fills the battery most of the way in about 40 minutes.
Swiss rider Michel Van Tel used the level 3 charging to make the 24-hour ride. In December 2021, the company announced that Livewire was to be spun off from parent Harley-Davidson, set to go public in the first half of 2022 as a special purpose acquisition company, SPAC, with a value estimated to be $1.77 billion. Custom Vehicle Operations, CVO, is a team within Harley-Davidson that produces limited edition customizations of Harley stock models.
Every year since 1999, the team has selected 2 to 5 of the company's base models and added higher displacement engines, performance upgrades, special edition paint jobs, more chrome or accented components, audio system upgrades, and electronic accessories to create high-dollar, premium quality customizations for the factory custom market.
The models most commonly upgraded in such a fashion are the Ultra Classic Electra Glide, which has been selected for CVO treatment every year from 2006 to the present, and the Road Chain, which was selected in 2002, 2003, 2007, and 2008.
The Dyna, Softail, and VRSC families have also been selected for CVO customization.
The Environmental Protection Agency conducted emissions certification and representative emissions test in Ann Arbor, Michigan in 2005.
Subsequently, Harley-Davidson produced an environmental warranty.
The warranty ensures each owner that the vehicle is designed and built free of any defects in materials and workmanship that would cause the vehicle to not meet EPA standards.
In 2005, the EPA and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, TaBNWNE, confirmed Harley-Davidson to be the first corporation to voluntarily enroll in the One Cleanup program.
This program is designed for the cleanup of the affected soil and groundwater at the former York Naval Ordnance Plant.
The program is backed by the state and local government along with participating organizations and corporations.
Paul Gottwald, Director of Operations for the EPA, congratulated the motor company.
Harley-Davidson has taken their environmental responsibilities very seriously and has already made substantial progress in the investigation and cleanup of past contamination. Proof of Harley's efforts can be found in the recent EPA determination that designates the Harley property as under control for cleanup purposes. This determination means that there are no serious contamination problems at the facility. Under the new One Cleanup program, Harley, EPA, and TaBNWNE will expedite the completion of the property investigation and reach a final solution that will permanently protect human health and the environment.
Harley-Davidson also purchased most of Cast Alloy, a South Australian producer of cast motorcycle wheels and hubs.
The South Australian government has set forth protection to the purchaser, Harley-Davidson, against environmental risks.
In August 2016, Harley-Davidson settled with the EPA for $12 million without admitting wrongdoing over the sale of aftermarket Super Tuners.
Super Tuners were devices marketed for competition which enabled increased performance of Harley-Davidson products.
However, the devices also modified the emission control systems, producing increased hydrocarbon and nitrogen oxide.
Harley-Davidson is required to buy back and destroy these Super Tuners, which do not meet Clean Air Act requirements, and spend $3 million on air pollution mitigation.
According to a recent Harley-Davidson study, in 1987 half of all Harley riders were under age 35.
However, by 2006, only 15% of Harley buyers were under 35, and as of 2005, the median age had risen to 46.7.
In 2008, Harley-Davidson stopped disclosing the average age of riders. At this point, it was 48 years old. In 1987, the median household income of a Harley-Davidson rider was $38,000.
By 1997, the median household income for those riders had more than doubled to $83,000.
Many Harley-Davidson clubs exist nowadays around the world. The oldest one, founded in 1928, is in Prague. Harley-Davidson attracts a loyal brand community, with licensing of the Harley-Davidson logo accounting for almost 5% of the company's net revenue, $41 million in 2004.
Harley-Davidson supplies many American police forces with their motorcycle fleets.
From its founding, Harley-Davidson had worked to brand its motorcycles as respectable and refined products, with ads that showed what motorcycling writer Fred Rock called refined-looking ladies with parasols and men in conservative suits as the target market.
The 1906 Harley-Davidson defective and polite muffler was emphasized in advertisements with a nickname, the Silent Grey Fellow.
That began to shift in the 1960s, partially in response to the clean-cut motorcyclist portrayed in Honda's "You Meet the Nicest People on a Honda" campaign, when Harley-Davidson sought to draw a contrast with Honda by underscoring the more working-class, macho, and even a little anti-social attitude associated with motorcycling's dark side.
With the 1971 FX Super Glide, the company embraced, rather than distanced itself from, shopper style and the counterculture custom Harley scene.
Their marketing cultivated the bad boy image of biker and motorcycle clubs, and to a point, even outlaw or one-percenter motorcycle clubs. Beginning in 1920, a team of farm boys, including Ray Weishar, who became known as the Hot Boys, consistently won races.
The group had a live hog as their mascot.
Following a win, they would put the hog on their Harley and take a victory lap.
In 1983, the motor company formed a club for owners of its product, taking advantage of the long-standing nickname by turning HOG into the acronym HOG for Harley Owners Group.
Harley-Davidson attempted to trademark HOG, but lost a case against an independent Harley-Davidson specialist, the Hog Farm of West Seneca, New York, in 1999. When the appellate panel ruled that HOG had become a generic term for large motorcycles and was therefore unprotectable as a trademark. On August 15, 2006, Harley-Davidson Incorporated had its NYSE ticker symbol changed from HDI to HOG. Harley-Davidson FL Big Twins normally had heavy steel fenders, chrome trim, and other ornate and heavy accessories.
After World War II, riders wanting more speed would often shorten the fenders or take them off completely to reduce the weight of the motorcycle.
These bikes were called bombers or sometimes choppers because parts considered unnecessary were chopped off.
Those who made or rode choppers and bombers, especially members of motorcycle clubs like the Hells Angels, referred to stock FLs as garbage wagons.
Harley-Davidson established the Harley Owners Group, HOG, in 1983 to build on the loyalty of Harley-Davidson enthusiasts as a means to promote a lifestyle alongside its products.
The HOG also opened new revenue streams for the company with a production of tie-in merchandise offered to club members numbering more than 1 million.
Other motorcycle brands and other consumer brands outside motorcycling have also tried to create factory-sponsored community marketing clubs of their own.
HOG members typically spend 30% more than other Harley owners on such items as clothing and Harley-Davidson sponsored events.
In 1991, HOG went international with the first official European HOG rally in Cheltenham, England.
Today, more than 1 million members and more than 1,400 chapters worldwide make HOG the largest factory-sponsored motorcycle organization in the world.
HOG benefits include organized group rides, exclusive products and product discounts, insurance discounts, and the Hot Tales newsletter.
A 1-year full membership is included with the purchase of a new, unregistered Harley-Davidson.
In 2008, HOG celebrated its 25th anniversary in conjunction with a Harley 105th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Third Southern HOG Rally set to bring together largest gathering of Harley-Davidson owners in South India.
More than 600 Harley-Davidson owners expected to ride to Hyderabad from across 13 HOG chapters.
Harley-Davidson offers factory tours at 4 of its manufacturing sites, and the Harley-Davidson Museum, which opened in 2008, exhibits Harley-Davidson's history, culture, and vehicles, including the motor company's corporate archives. York, Pennsylvania, Vehicle Operations, Manufacturing Site for Touring Class, Softail, and Custom Vehicles.
Tomahawk, Wisconsin, Tomahawk Operations, facility that makes sidecars, saddlebags, windshields, and more.
Kansas City, Missouri, Vehicle and Powertrain Operations, Manufacturing Site of Sportster, VRSC, and other vehicles.
Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, Pilgrim Road Powertrain Operations Plant, 2 types of tours.
And Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Harley-Davidson Museum, Archive, exhibits of people, products, culture and history, restaurant and cafe, and museum store. Due to the consolidation of operations, the Capital Drive Tour Center in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, was closed in 2009. Some of the company's buildings have been listed on state and national historic registers, including Harley-Davidson Motorcycle Factory Building, added to National Register of Historic Places on November 9, 1994.
And Factory Number 7, added to Wisconsin State Register of Historic Places on August 14, 2020.
Beginning with Harley-Davidson's 90th anniversary in 1993, Harley-Davidson has had celebratory rides to Milwaukee called the Ride Home.
This new tradition has continued every 5 years and is referred to unofficially as Harley Fest, in line with Milwaukee's other festivals, Summerfest, German Fest, Festa Italiana, etc.
This event brings Harley riders from all around the world.
The 105th anniversary celebration was held on August 28 to 31, 2008, and included events in Milwaukee, Waukesha, Racine, and Kenosha counties in southeast Wisconsin.
Whoa!
The 110th anniversary celebration was held on August 29 to 31, 2015.
The 115th anniversary was held in Prague, Czech Republic, the home country of the oldest existing Harley-Davidson club, on July 5 to 8, 2018, and attracted more than 100,000 visitors and 60,000 likes.
The 120th anniversary was held in Budapest, Hungary, with a parade on June 24. William S. Harley, Arthur Davidson, William A. Davidson, and Walter Davidson Sr. were, in 2004, inducted into the Labor Hall of Fame for their accomplishments for the HD company and its workforce. The company's origins were dramatized in a 2016 miniseries entitled Harley and the Davidsons, starring Robert Araneo as William Harley, Bud Hall as Arthur Davidson, and Mitchell Guzman as Walter Davidson, and premiered on the Discovery Channel as a 3-night event series on September 5, 2016. That's it for this episode today. Thank you for watching this channel. And make sure you hit a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more upcoming episodes like this one, and we will see you in another episode. Stay safe and take care.